We're going to start with chapter 7. This is the next chapter. Now, just because we're in week 11, we're working on chapter 7 and assignment 8. They all go in order, okay? Like last week, we didn't do a chapter, is why they should be all straight though. But assignment 8 is going to be in 2 parts because I didn't get a chance to totally finish it today because I'm working on DEF CON trip and all this other stuff. So. Okay, so let's talk about chapter 7, Programming for Security Professionals. These slides once again suck. So I did add a lot to the end of myself, so we're going to, but let's talk about it a little bit. Okay, y'all know what programming is by now. Hopefully you can at least notice a program at one point in your life. Makes our lives easier. Like the project you just did, I started adding those users manually. You know, go into the GUI, add user. But after about 5 of them, I'm like, wait a minute, it's taking forever. So I just made a script to add all of them, and I said, go, boom, done. Literally added all of them in, 2 seconds.
How long did it take to make the script?
A minute and a half. It's really easy. Ned, user, L. Johnson, password / add done. And I literally, what I did is in Excel, I put the username, I put the password, and the description. And in Excel, you can say, take cell A1 plus a space, plus B1, and then literally I just copy paste down the whole thing. It's done in seconds. See, normally when I do things, I'll do it manually a couple times, then I give up and write a script for it. Roy, on the other hand, writes a script for everything, which is kind of a good idea to do. So, it's good to know many languages, and you're going to learn a new one today. We already know that. Okay. So, errors. Yeah, I had a student that was grading an assignment this week for a student in another class. He had like 47 errors in his code. I'm like, but what I see people doing is, like today's assignment is not right, it's simple, but normally writing a program, don't write the entire thing and then hit compile. You know what I mean? So many people do that. This guy wrote the entire 2-part program. In other words, 2 classes that had to work together. They compiled and didn't work. And it's like, write something, compile it. Write something, compile it. Keep going little by little. That way you get it to all work and you don't have 47 errors at the end. So this takes time and patience. Now, I love writing programs. I was literally writing a Caesar Cipher program on the cruise ship on this last trip. So Virginia was having her high tea. She always wanted to do high tea. Have you ever done high tea?
It's high tea. Yeah.
It's a British thing. They bring you tea and all the stuff to go with it. And she didn't know what came with it. She goes, I don't know, a couple of everything. Bad idea. We had little trays after trays of
lady fingers and
that stuff, cookies and scones and shit. We didn't want tea as well. But,
and so many cookies.
We had literally tray after tray of all. There's like 4 of everything. It's like wow. So, but no, I love programming. It kind of relaxes me a lot. I don't know about you guys. I do get frustrated doing it, but then once you figure it out, it's like,
yeah,
exactly. It's like, all that time and it was just this. So yeah.
There's a reason why debug processes take
Okay, so you can be writing programs with little knowledge at all. They talk about branching, looping, and testing. That's really all languages support this. All of them. Branching, we have something that branches off, does something else. Should be nothing new to you guys. You all should know what branching is. Looping is just doing something over and over and over. You're going to do something a whole bunch of times. Okay? And testing, verify it works. And that is where a lot of people mess up. They don't really make sure the program's running correctly. There's something called fuzzing. You ever heard of fuzzing before? It's basically trying everything. So if the web page asks for a phone number, put a name in it. What does it do? Does it crash the program? You don't know. So fuzzing is trying every combination. And it asks for 8 characters, put in 12. What does it do? Trying everything. So testing is a big deal. When I was in the military, we had a testing flight. It was their entire job. They would take a software application and test it for months, trying to find every problem. So, and you'll never get rid of all of them. Okay. Here's an example. We have a main method. This looks like C. Is it C? Yeah, it's got to be C. And you're assigning a 1 to an integer, even if you don't know this language. First of all, you see how we got comments on the side there? Those help us understand what they're doing. So we're assigning 1 to an integer A, then we're checking, is A greater than 2? That's what's called a relational operator. Then if it is, print A is greater than 2, or else get out of here. Okay, so we went somewhere else. And then here we want to get out. And then get out, we have a loop that does something. It starts at 1. So basically less than 10, so it goes 10 times. Then each time it says I'm in and out the get out function. So pretty simple to read all of these. Okay. Algorithms, that's the the thought behind it, and that's the hardest one. Way back when, before D2L, before WebCT, before all those things, before we had any sort of online system here at Rosetta on my own, I wrote one in ASP. Anyone ever heard of ASP before? Active Server Pages on Microsoft IIS. I wrote it in that, and you could check the grades, you could take the quiz, just some really basic functionality. Oh my God, everybody loved it. And I also used it at Park University, and I had all the Park University instructors using it as well. Then they came to me and said, okay, now we want to do more. And then I stopped. Because it's a lot of work to write. I wrote an accounting software for one of my clients because he never could find the accounting program he liked. So I wrote him one, and he loved it. Then he wanted more. I'm like, no, I can't do it. So it takes time to figure everything out, get it to work correctly, and I didn't have time. And then bugs, those are problems with it. Okay, an error that causes unexpected results. Now you might never see a bug, or you might see them all the time. Now, anyone running Windows 10?
Yeah.
I haven't got a blue screen, and I've gotten lockups before. And by the way, I found a problem. Anyone using Google Drive file stream? Okay, we all have access to Google Drive. Okay. Since we have Google Drive for Education, we have an option. We can use Google Drive file stream or backup and sync. You get two different choices. The difference is backup and sync, obviously backup a computer and synchronize files. Not a problem. You can synchronize everything or just part of it. Google Drive file stream synchronizes nothing. It literally puts all your stuff in the cloud and assigns the drive letter to the cloud. Like in my case, it was drive letter E. And I had an exabyte of free space on drive E because we have unlimited storage. And I can put everything I want. It was wonderful. I absolutely loved it. Jimmy's still using it. Because you literally just read and write from drive E. It's all stored on the cloud, so it's not taking up your local space. But I found, and I was writing my John the Ripper program, if you read and write to that cloud drive excessively quickly, like a ton of files all at the same time, it errors out and locks up. Because I had the problem here many times, finally ended up getting rid of it and went back and sync. But at home was working fine. Until right before the cruise, I started working on the John the Ripper program at home. I started having the same issues at home. That's what it was. It's because I was reading and writing to the cloud too much, and I don't think you keep track of it. Because what it was doing was every time I was writing a file, I was having to copy it to the cloud. Well, a lot of times when you're programming, then you delete the file. Like with Java, it makes a temporary file, then it deletes the file, so it gets confused. So, but it was a bug in that program, so I ended up removing it. I looked online, sure enough, a lot of people are having that problem. So it's a free service from Google that has a bug in it, obviously. Okay. Pseudocode is English-like language. Y'all should know what that is. It's writing a program without a program. It's writing it in English so you can understand it. Then you should be able to convert it to anything. Metasploit was originally written in Perl. Then they converted it to Ruby. So if you have something in any language, you should be able to convert to another language quite easily. Now, if you want to go to assembly, that's a big story. But for the most part, it's easy. Okay. Documenting is important. Comments are important. We know about that. We had an industry standard 10 bugs for every 1,000 lines of code. It's not bad. I have bugs in my code all the time. You just don't know it. It's like I tell people, you know what Hello World is. You write Hello World? Can you write Hello World without errors? You would think you could write Hello World without errors. But, I mean, say we're writing in Python. Could you write Hello World? You should be able to.
And then if someone puts in something wrong, you have an
Yeah,
error.
but even if we're not getting input, Maybe it's just writing hello world. But can you positively guarantee that's going to work on every operating system with every version of Python, with every version of everything? You can't. I was a beta tester for executive software. That's the engine that does the defragmenting inside of Windows. I was a beta tester for them for years. And I was running it one time, and it popped up on my screen and says, your volume is corrupt, restore for backup. That's not a good thing. And I told them about it, and they were freaking out, like, oh my God. So they literally were FedExing overnight cookies and crap to my house. Because they want to keep me happy, to keep figuring out what the error was, because they're getting ready to release a version. But all of a sudden I find this error that's a showstopper, and they finally figured out what the error was. It was an incompatibility between their software and McAfee version, whatever I was running. That it thought it was corrupt, but it wasn't corrupt. So here's how they fixed it. You know those little README files you get with software? If running McAfee version such and such and such with our version such and such, you will get this error message, this error. Seriously? That's all they did. It's like, yeah, so no one ever reads the README files. But, you know, finding bugs and stuff, and they didn't have time, but at least they got to the point where they knew it was an incompatibility between those two pieces of software. It wasn't corrupt. It was all fine. Yeah, they did. Windows 10, you know, says 50 million lines, less errors. I don't think it has many errors. I'm sure it does, but, you know, I think it's better. Yeah, Williams having an issue with it right now. We're trying to roll out an image for Rose State, and it's causing issues. C, written way back when by Dennis Ritchie, very powerful. Actually, a lot of other languages are written in C. Visual Basic written in C, all that other stuff. So Unix first written in C, assembly then C, and C++ was written in C. You know, C++ is better than C, and C# is better than C++, but still. They're all about it. If you've seen C, you know, you can probably figure out Java. It's like we're going to look at Ruby here in a minute. Ruby's so close to Python. It's not that hard to figure out. You all are experts in Python. Actually, I graded all your work. Some of you are not. Some of you are like, what the hell? Luckily, I don't remember who I graded, so, except for certain people.
Jairus is awesome in Python, by the way.
Oh, he's great. He fixes problems I can't fix. Whenever I can't figure it out, I go, Jared, what the hell?
And he tells you, there's a dot here. I can look at that computer for like an hour and just like, oh.
Look, I was grading homework Sunday. I probably spent a full hour trying to answer a student's question. Couldn't see it. I couldn't see it for nothing. I had the answer file. And I'm like, just a little typo in it that I couldn't see. It didn't cause it to crash, but it just didn't work right. You just don't see it sometimes. Okay, let's say you compile things. We actually have a C class this summer, which is if you're planning on going to Tulsa, it would be beneficial to take. Regular C.
Is that auditable?
I don't know. You would have to talk to the instructor. I do not allow auditing.
It's
Jeff
on
does.
campus.
What?
It's an on-campus class or an online class.
I think it's on campus. I don't know. You have to look in the schedule. I don't know. Auditing is still paid the same amount, by the way. The deal with C, let me explain one of the big differences. In Java, if you create an array of 10, how many things can you put in it?
Java 10.
10. You can put in 10. What happens when you try to put in number 11? You get an error. Can't hold this. In C, if you create an array to hold 10, you can put 8,000. Doesn't matter. What it does is it figures out each of those elements are so big. So item 8,000 is 8,000 times that size. So you might be overwriting something in memory. You might be overwriting a device file, anything. That's why it's so powerful. You can do anything with C. It doesn't care. If you tell it to do something, it does it. And it could cause problems. And that's why we have a lot of code with problems, because they're not checking buffers. They're not checking anything. So that's what's up with C. And Sonoy wants students to know C because you write drivers with C. When I took a network programming course, using Java, we wrote a sniffer. But the driver to make the sniffer work was written in C. So we included a C driver to read the traffic in to Java. So it's, okay. So they're talking about different versions. See, there are different versions. So the nice thing, like with Java and Python, other than like going from Python 2.7 to 3, I mean, really, Python's going to work on a Mac. So it's great. I can grade it here at work on my computer. I can grade it on my Mac. I can grade it on Linux. I can grade it on whatever. Can't do that with C. Okay. Here's C. This is your hello world program. You got to include the standard IO library, stdio.h there at the top. And instead of the public static void main, you just have main. Pretty simple there. And then you print out. So it's very similar to Java if you've had Java before. Very simple. So it's not all that difficult. You can put comments in there. You can use double slashes. That's the same as in Java. You need to include things, same as in Python. In Python, it's called import. Same thing. What the whole include thing and the import thing, you're taking functionality that someone else has written and bringing it into your code. It's kind of like, you know, I'm getting ready to have a remodel done in my house. I'm going to import a contractor into my house to do the work. I'm going to bring his functionality in to do the work. Okay, you're doing the same thing in programs. You import or you bring in something that somebody else wrote and then you use it. Okay. Way back in Java, I think prior to Java 6, it did not have a scanner class. And if you know Java, you had to use the scanner class to get input. It wasn't available. So what it was is the instructor or the textbook author would have to write their own and provide it to the student. So I'm so glad once Java 6 came out that was included. We no longer had to write that because it was there. Braces, you know, show where functions begin and end, just like in Java. See, Python's a little different. Python it doesn't use braces in the same way. It uses indenting. Okay. Now, in Java, you don't have to indent it, but I still think you should. It makes it easier to read. When someone turns in a program with everything left justified, it still works in Java. It's not a problem. But you know what that tells me? No, there's a high probability they copied off the internet. Because spaces on the internet go away. And when you copy and paste it, you get one of those spaces. So if you turn something to me, everything's left justified, I'm going to be doing some checking. It's probably copied. So, all right, you can have functions. You can have functions that call functions. You can have methods. In Java, we have functions. In other languages, you have functions and methods. Functions return a value. A method does something. A function can do something as well, but normally there's a difference. In Java, they're the same. I don't know why, but they are. Variables are just something to store something in. You store a value, okay? And let's see what else we got. They talk about some different data types. Depending on the language, they hold different values, okay? Okay, declare there's a C, a character, a decimal. Let's see what else we can do here. Compare values. Let's see. Oh, unary operators. I love those. Those are my absolute favorite. They're not supported in Python. Like the plus plus. That's a unary or a post. It could be prefix or postfix. So if you did like, you know, say day was equal to 5. If you did day plus plus, it's no sense. And it's actually, the way it works is, so if I had day plus plus, say I said print, so day is 5, okay? If I said print day plus plus, what's the print? 5. Because day plus plus is called a postfix operator. It performs the operation, then increments the number. You would have to have plus plus day. They have it. Yeah, they have that one on there.
Increments the unary, for example,
there you go. Right. Yeah, but we normally would do like day plus plus, which is fine. But if you're using it in like a print statement, you got to realize it's going to print and then increment, which kind of sucks. And we have compound operators, which they don't show here, but those are available. We have modulus. You all know what that is for crypto. Have you had crypto yet?
Yeah.
Crypto, you all like crypto? All right, not, greater than, less than. These are relational operators for the most part, or, and, not, that kind of stuff. Branching, we have a method that can call other things. That's what you normally do. Okay. You have a while loop, while something is greater than 10, or while it's true, or while whatever. Okay, and here we go. We're going to compile it. Then they link the object file there on the second line. Then they execute it, and it does something. That's basically that loop right there. See, with C, you have to compile it, then you have to link it, and then you get an executable. In Java, you basically compile into a .class file, and then you use the JRE, the Java runtime, to execute the class file. When C, you get the object file, then you link the object file, then you use it. So, okay. There's a do loop. I'm not going to go through all these in detail. You can if you want, but I'm not requiring anything there. HTML. Some people say that HTML is a programming language. It's not. It's a word processing language. Now, HTML5, most definitely. Like the original HTML, you know, highlight a word and put a B in front of it and a B after it, and it's bold, you know. So it's pretty simple. The web pages, they have changed a bunch. Like here, they have the start of the HTML, then we have something, then the end of the HTML. I'm assuming some of you have seen a web page before. It's just really basic to use. I don't even consider it programming. You can have headers, you can have paragraphs, you can have bold, and you can have italics, you can have all kinds of stuff. Just different ways to format text with HTML. And that's what a basic page looks like. Starts it, and the HTML begins at the very top, ends at the very bottom, and everything else is in the middle. Okay, that's what it looks like. Perl. Now I wrote in Perl years ago. It's really good to write scripts, especially on Linux systems. It does work on Windows as well. I know years ago I had to install something called Active State Perl to get it to run on Windows, but it works just the same way. Okay, very similar to C, made in 1987. So Linux automatically comes with it. You can add it to other systems as well. There's some different versions. There's help. There's print. You know, and we're not going to be using Perl in here, so I'm not going to go over that one. But there's some of the information on Perl. Okay. Some of the different format specifiers. Now they're going to look at some of the branching and all that. You can declare variables, strings get with a $sign. So every language has its own little quirks. Okay. So we have Jimmy, we declared it with a $sign at the beginning. And the name best guitars, hold on, what's that one? Got to have a function has the and sign at the beginning of it. It's just different rules. And this is the kind of stuff that if you get hired to do this, you'll learn the syntax pretty quickly and then you can do it. It's not hard. There's a loop. And testing, you can use your relational operators there the same way. They're actually identical. Those are all the same. Okay, object-oriented. As our technology changes, so do our languages, so does everything else. It's been around for a long time. They would never program like in BASIC. Some of you? I remember doing that. My first real computer was a TRS-80 color computer. It was 4K of RAM and no storage. So you would basically plug it into a TV, and it was literally just a keyboard all in one. And you'd write your entire program, whatever you want to do, that play the game. Then when you're done, you couldn't save it or anything. So you play it, do whatever you want to do, and then reboot it, you know, and then run something else. And yeah. Exactly. But you learn. You learn doing that stuff. Okay. There's just a couple different examples of different ones. We're going to get over here to Ruby. They have a lot of slides on Ruby. Get ready for this. It's an object-oriented language used by many security testers. This is very similar to Perl, but Perl is also very similar to Python. Metasploit is the new version is written in Ruby. That's the reason we're going to be doing something with it. What now? Oh yeah, big time. Big time. I mean, Metasploit is written in Ruby.
Did they change from Perl to Ruby because
it's object-oriented. It's just easier. I mean, once you look at the code, if you know Python, it's really similar.
I imagine the younger crop coming up also running Ruby as opposed to Perl.
I don't think any part of your programs in Perl anymore. I mean, you write some Perl scripts for Linux, but really not all that much.
Kind of a maintenance.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, and we have this wonderful picture. That I saw that, I'm like, seriously? Yeah, that's all we get for Ruby. That's pretty much it.
Just need a command line actual word, nothing.
That was it. So did you learn a lot about Ruby there?
Wow.
I saw that, I'm like,
You missed it.
okay, I'm like, we had this page here.
Sorry.
I mean, we had all this stuff for C. This is all we get. That and 2 pictures. All right, well, that's the end of that chapter. Then I'm going to show you the next presentation.
I'm like, I didn't want to,